Hello and welcome to this NaNoRebel writing vlog. I'm Liselle Sambury. I am a traditionally published author and you are joining me on NaNoRimo. I am doing a Rebel month, so I'm not doing the traditional writing 50,000 words during NaNoRimo because I have not one, not two, not even three, 4 different projects to work on this month. 2 of them are contractual deadlines, so they must be done. So yeah, I'm a little packed up for the month, and so I was like, I cannot just do one project this month, so I have to do a few of them, and I'll talk about them, I'll intro them on the week that I'm actually going to work on them, so that you're not sat here forever listening to me tell you about what I'm going to work on. So this week, I'm working on 2 different projects. So I have to do copy edits for Blood Like Fate, which is the sequel to my debut novel, Blood Like Magic, about a family of black witches living in a near future Toronto. And so I have to do copy edits for that, which is all the like grammar sort of things. And because during my line edits, I did a really detailed read through of the book, when I'm doing my copy edits now, I'm literally just like going to the places where they are asking me about changes and I'm responding to those, and I'll get another chance to do another deep read through during my past pages, which will come later. So I'm just kind of like going in and being like, okay, yes, no, okay, let's switch this to this, let's do this, and so I am going to be done that by the end of this week, hopefully. And my deadline for that is November 10th, so I do have a bit more time, but I'd rather get it done this week, and I think I can. And it's really cool with these level copy edits because they have this style sheet. And so the style sheet is, I guess, for the copy editors, because I have a different copy editor than I had for Blood Like Magic, so it's not the same one. And so it's like got chapter summaries of both like this book and like Blood Like Fate and Blood Like Magic. It's got all the characters and like place names and things that were said in Blood Like Magic so that we can keep them consistent for Blood Like Fate. And it's kind of fun to like see all the character names and like details about them and like what their magical gift is, and like it's things to help the copy editor to make sure everything is in sync. But it's fun for me to like kind of see my publisher's like encyclopedia of my books, and it's honestly really helpful. Like I would love to hold on to it, just to, yeah, if I ever, I have a spin-off idea, so if I ever got to write that spin-off, it would be really helpful to be able to have this and pull this out, and I'm sure my publisher will keep a record of it also. But I just thought that was really fun. And what I am also working on this week for my NaNoRebel week is my edits for Butcherbirds. So this is my first round of developmental edits for my publisher. So Butcherbirds is my book that's coming out in 2023. It's a young adult standalone. It's about a 17-year-old reluctant medium. She and her mom inherit a house in Northern Ontario that has some secrets, and in the future, it also has the POV of an investigative journalist who is trying to find out what happened to her, to the other POV. So it's like this one POV is like the main POV in the past, and then there's another POV in the present, which is like a YouTuber that is investigating what happened. So it's that sort of book. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be working on. I'm going to be finishing those developmental edits this week, then I'll let it rest, and then I'll do another read through later. But that's the plan for this week, is those developmental edits and the copy edits. So I did the copy edits in the morning, which went like very smoothly because I'm literally just like going through and being like, yes, okay, no, it's very simple, like grammar things, and I'm not a grammar expert, so I'm not over here to argue about grammar with the copy editor. And then this afternoon, I've been working on the edits for Butcherbirds, which have been taking me quite a bit more time. And I've been wanting to like talk a bit more in depth about the chapters that I'm working on as I'm working on it. In my vlogs in general, I just think like that'll help give you a better idea of the sort of stories that I'm writing, versus me coming on and being like, I did 3 chapters. So yeah, so I have 3 chapters to work on today. I did 2 The first one took me 90 minutes to work on, and that's because it's in the story, the main POV, Daisy, and her mom, Grace, they have this very kind of contentious, strained relationship. Grace keeps a lot of secrets from Daisy. Daisy really struggles with like having a mom that is so closed up in that way. And she can also see ghosts, so she's like dealing with ghost stuff, and it's just like something is also going on with this house, and she feels like her mom knows more about this house that she's letting on. And so it's this big explosion moment where, like, you know, they just like have this huge clash in this moment. And so it took a lot of like finessing, because I've got to explain things that are going on in the house. I've got to make sure that I'm explaining how Daisy's ability is working. I have to like do the action of the scene, and then I also have to get in their relationship struggles into there. And so it's just like, it took me a while, and it was a 4,000 word chapter, and I had to break it up again. I've been breaking up chapters in this book like wild, because I keep having 4,000, 5,000 word chapters and being like, I really don't want them to be that long. So I've been splitting them up. So that also took a good amount of time. But yeah, that ate up most of my working time today. And then the chapter I just finished working on, which was Brittany, who is the other POV. She's the investigative journalist, and she has a partner, Devon, that she works with. And so they're also having their own blow up, contentious blow up. I did plan this. So I did plan to make like these like character dynamic blow-ups to happen in the same period of time, so it's like one after the other. And so that's essentially what's happening. And so Brittany's just had that moment with Devon, and so that's a whole thing. And yeah, so now that I've done that, I have one more chapter to go. I've literally been procrastinating by filming this clip, so I do have to get back to that and finish that off for the day. And then I will check back in with you on Wednesday.
Wake up this morning, make the mistake of turning on the TV. Nothing but bad news, empty avenues rolling on the screen. Oh, walk to the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee. Wave at the older man, get into something tame on his balcony. Oh, yeah, we both have been stuck in our apartments for 2 months too long. We don't even get along, but the world just fell apart straight out of the blue. So in my mind I whisper ciao, and I take myself to Tuscany, Italy, riding on a Vespa in a sunflower field. Yeah, warm wind blowing and birds are singing in cypress trees. Tuscany, Italy, eating carbonara and reading Machiavelli while the world ends. That's where I will be. Go back to my room, I pick up the laptop to join a work call. I don't think Karen knows that she's wearing her sweatshirt inside out. Oh, water on my plants, and I just might take a painting, read every book.
Hello, it is a standing update. Today is not my greatest day. I am plagued by hormones, which has made my morning very much filled with emotional turmoil for no reason, no real reason, literally just hormonal sadness about anything. So that's been awesome. And oh my gosh, now I'm coughing. I just choked on my spit. It's not anything serious. Yeah, so because I was feeling like that, I decided to do my copy edits first today to get them out of the way, because they're less emotional and frustrating. And then I felt a bit better later on, and I decided to go and do my full edits. And this was when I started to realize that I had a problem. And my problem was, I had this grand plan that I was going to take a break from this project for a week, from Butcherbirds for a week, and then I was going to do my read through in a week. And I was sitting there and I was like, this is an almost 140,000 word book. Now 46 chapters, and you want to read that in a week? And I was like, oh no, this is a mistake. Yeah, so I basically realized that I cannot do the read through in a week, and I really should take a full 2 weeks. So I added that on to my time. This chapters that I edited today is like, I feel like last time I updated there was a big confrontation, but there's another big confrontation. This one takes place inside of the house, and a bunch of stuff is revealed, and yeah, that happens. And on the back of that, we go straight into the dark night of the soul, with the character really having a super tough time. Daisy's having a really tough time. So yeah, that's what's happening, and I was like, this is a little bit too much life parallel of having a hard time, but there it is. So yeah, that's what I worked on today, and I keep having to fix the world building of how the house works, because I don't think it's any sort of secret that this involves ghosts. This is it's a different type of haunted house, so I really made strong efforts to make this very different than the typical, because I love haunted house stories, but I really wanted this to be very different. It's a very different type of house, and so there are all these rules I had to make for the house, and I tried so hard not to go so hardcore with it. I was like, for the love of God, Liselle, please make this more simplified. But I didn't. It's so complicated. It's still so complicated. But what I've been doing over this process is I keep trying to fix the way the house works. I tried to simplify it. That wasn't really great. But I keep having to fix the way it works so that things make sense, which I also had to do when I edited with my agent. So it's not even surprising. This is my own fault because I didn't world build this before I started. And so I keep trying to fix it. And so now, when I was working on these chapters today, I was fixing it while I was working on the chapters, and then realizing there were things I was gonna have to change in other chapters to make this work. And I just realized my read through is gonna have to be like much more thorough than I'm expecting, because all the chapters that are like, I would say like the midpoint on is when we get really deep into a bunch of like the way the house works things, and I really would like it to be more spread out through the narrative. And I'm just realizing that because I keep having to fix the world building, I'm just gonna have to really make those edits earlier on, which means of course that I will probably have to pay more attention when I do this read through. So I'm like, it's not like I'm gonna speed through it, so I'm just gonna take the full 2 weeks to work on the read through. Does it suck? Kind of, because now I have basically like almost the entirety of NaNoRimo. I'm going to be working on 2 projects at once. It does, but I think I can do it, and it's possible and doable, and like it's gonna happen, so it's okay. I will be all right. Everything will be fine. But yeah, so that's what's going on, and yeah, that's basically it. So that's what I realized today. That was a painful realization, but I feel like everything's gonna work out in the end, maybe. But if not, I'm gonna have pizza tonight. So at least there's that for me. Oh, and my insurance came through. I've been trying to get on my partner's insurance for a while, and I finally have. And so today I'm gonna get to go to the eye doctor and make sure that my prescription's up to date, maybe get some new lenses and get some contact lenses also. So there we go. Things are looking up. Next week I have a dentist appointment. I'm gonna see about getting myself, at some point this month I'm gonna get myself a hot stone massage or some sort of thing like that covered by the insurance, because I need it during this month. So that those are the trials and tribulations, but I'm getting close to the end of the book. And even though I'm basically going to get to the end of the book and then go right back to the beginning and start again, I do still feel somewhat better.
Then I learned to cook from videos online. Oh, yeah, we all have been stuck in our apartments for 2 months too long. We don't even get along, but the world just fell apart straight out of the blue. So in my mind I whisper ciao and I take myself to Tuscany, Italy, riding on a Vespa in a sunflower field. Yeah, warm wind blowing and birds are singing in cypress trees. Tuscany, Italy, eating carbonara and reading Machiavelli while the world ends. That's where I will be.
Hello, and it is Friday. I feel like letting out a deep sigh, but the Butcherbirds, the big edits, I have finished today. So I've gone through every chapter. I've done my very significant edits that I had to do to fix a bunch of things. So I've gone through the whole thing once, which is good. It's not perfect. There are definitely still things I have to iron out. I know that there are things that I changed when I went further down the line that now I have to go back and change as well and make sure everything is consistent. So I tried to do some of that, like to go back to places I remembered while I was editing, but I couldn't remember every single spot. And so those are just things I'm gonna have to catch in the read through, which I'm gonna be starting next week. So thought I was gonna be done with this book for a week. Not so, but it's okay because I know it's gonna come out much better in the end. And this is all useful time, so I am gonna end up spending the full 5 weeks of my deadline working on this book while I work on other things, but it's okay. Things are coming along well, so there goes the dog. Today I did the final 2 chapters. So those are like, well, one chapter is in the investigator POV, and so they're doing their final interview, though they don't necessarily know it's their final interview. Anyway, you can tell it's the final one because of the way the chapters are laid out. But yeah, so they are doing that interview and it's like very emotional and there's a lot of stuff that has to come out and a lot of things to discuss in that chapter. So I had to go ahead and do that. And there are a few reveals. Thankfully I was able to cut that chapter a little bit because some of the reveals like were already talked about before, so I didn't need to like go into them ad nauseum. Like I could really like shorten it up a little bit. So that was good because it was already kind of a longer chapter to begin with. I think that might be the longest chapter in the book now that I've split up so many other chapters. But also speaking of splitting up other chapters, I now have 48 chapters in the book because of all the ones that I split up, and it is 140,000 words, and I gotta accept it, you know. I just gotta accept that she's gonna be chonky like the rest of my bibliography. It's just the way it's gonna go. But she's less chalky than the other two, so like maybe that's progress. And I've just accepted it. I'm okay with it. I think just because this book, and I think this is why my publisher is kind of like deciding how they're going to market it, because like I myself, I call it a horror, but I don't think it's a horror in the ways in which people think of horror. It's very like cerebral. There's a lot of things that are being revealed, a lot of things that are happening, a lot of like that mystery element. And I also think the paranormal element is like quite a bit more prevalent in that way. So in some cases I feel like the way, like I feel like just calling it like a horror actually doesn't even necessarily encompass all the things that it is, which is why I think my publisher is going to go off and do their own thing about how they market it. They'll know better than me how to do that, but yeah, so it's interesting when I think of it in that way, because I read Small Favors by Aaron A. Craig this year, which I really enjoyed. I really do recommend it. It's like a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but it's like set in like pioneer times, but there are also these like monsters, and there's all this like social drama that's happening in between there. And so like I think you could call it a sort of fantasy horror. And it's really interesting, and it's interesting to me because that book is also a chonker. But I read it so fast, it was really enjoyable. So that's how I try and like make myself feel better, because I'm like, oh yeah, it's like kind of like this in a way. But in any case, that was that chapter, and then I also did the final chapter, and that closes everything up. Which I always enjoy that chapter. And yeah, I won't say anything more about it because it would be so huge spoilers. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think even though I really struggled with these edits, like finishing up this stage of edits, I'm reminded of like how much I love this book and like how much passion I have for this story. Which like I still definitely feel, and I'm still really excited about people getting to read it, even though it's not until 2023. I don't know what the exact date is yet. I'm sure I will learn that at some point, but it's very exciting in that way. And so yeah, there's that. And then my copy edits. So my copy edits for Blood Like Fate, I actually finished yesterday. So I was just kind of on a roll with it. And I figured I would keep going, and so I was able to finish it off. Copy edits were very painless this time around, and I think they were painless because I did my read through during the line edits like I should have for Blood Like Magic, and so I had done a really thorough in-depth read through at that point. So then when I was doing my copy edits, I was just going to the comments for copy edits and just being like yes or no or what have you, and like that's like a much faster process. I only had one slip up with some ages. I had gotten some ages of some characters confused, and then I had to look in the first book to make sure, oh my god, did I say how old they were? Because I need to change it in the second book, and I had to make sure that I hadn't said what age they were and like work within those logistics. It was a very like logistical sort of nightmare, and then I was worried that I had said that character's age in the first book and I was going to be stuck with it, and I was going to have to think of an explanation for the second book. But thankfully I never said how old they were in the first book, so yay me. Things to deal with when you are writing a series is that you cannot go back and change the first book after you're done. So, but it turned out all right, and I sent that to my editor last night. And yeah, I'm glad that one of the 4 projects that I need to work on this month has been completed. So that's exciting. And then next week I will get back into starting the read through of Butcherbirds, and then also working on reworking my proposal for Bear Hunt. So look forward to that next week. I hope your NaNoRimo is going well if you're doing it, or you're NaNoRebeling if you're rebelling like me. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!